I like to go through some of the procedures we follow in the courtroom. Procedures should have been available to you in the pamphlet as you enter the courtroom. When your case is called, please come forward. We take people on a first come, first served basis. We take pleas tonight. Your three plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty. If you enter a no contest or guilty plea, I'll review your police report, make sure there's a factual basis, and if there is, I'll find you guilty and impose an appropriate forfeiture. A plea of no contest is similar to a guilty plea, but a conviction arising from a no contest plea cannot be used against you in a subsequent trial. Let me explain that. Say if you're involved in a traffic accident, you receive a citation. If you enter a no contest plea, the party suing you for damages can't use that no contest plea against you in a later lawsuit. The forfeitures range from $20 to $1,000. However, almost all are within the $50 to $200 range. The state mandates that we add cost to your forfeiture. For example, a $50 forfeiture will result in a total fine to you of $124. Now, I'll grant you 30 days to pay the fine. If you need additional time, please let me know, and we will arrange a payment plan. If you do not pay, I have limited options to collect. I can suspend your driver's license for a year. I can send your account to state collections, which will basically, withhold tax refunds or garnish wages. I'd rather not do that. If you need additional time or need to make payment arrangements, please let me know so we can set that up. If you enter a not guilty plea, I will order that your case be set over for a pretrial conference at the next court session. Pretrial conference is where you and the city attorney will be able to present, you'll meet to see if you can resolve the case. The date for the pretrial conferences will be February 6, 2019. Those of you facing traffic offenses should understand that you lose demerit points upon conviction of most such traffic offenses. If you lose 12 or more points in a year time, your license will be suspended for a certain period of time. You will also be fined. I'd like you to be aware of some of your rights before you're entering a plea. You have a right to ask for continuance. This means that your case can be set over to another date, either for you to consult with a lawyer or for some other reason. This is a civil court. You're not entitled to a public defender. However, you may hire an attorney at your own cost. You also have a right to a trial. Please remember your rights when considering your plea. Those of you charged with operating a motor vehicle while under the influence are entitled to request a jury trial in the circuit court upon payment of the proper fees. All other cases will be handled in this court with the right to appeal my ruling to circuit court. At this time, we will call the first case. Thank you. And that will be Darlene Schultz. Ms. Schultz, do I have your correct address on Madison Street in Stoughton?
Yes.
All right. You've been cited for failure to yield a right-of-way from a stop sign. This citation carries a penalty of $98.80 and 4 demerit points issued to your driver's license. Now, the forfeiture range on this citation is, each of these citations has a range. You're at $30 plus costs, but the range on it is, if I can find it, is $20 to $50. So you're not quite at the minimum, but you're fairly close to $30 plus costs. Do you understand what failure to yield right away from a stop sign is?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I have to also tell you that if you're convicted of this, the Department of Transportation also mandates that you take a class that's outside of this to make sure that you are aware of the failure to yield the right of way. You understand that as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so in other words, a class in addition to 98.80 and 4 points. Okay. Any questions regarding this citation?
No.
Okay. Now is the time I take your plea. Your 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Not guilty.
Okay. With a not guilty, I'll enter a not guilty plea. I will order that you attend a pretrial conference on February 6, 2019, and I'll give you that notice in just a minute.
Okay.
The pretrial conferences are held downstairs. When you enter the building, there's 2 sets of doors. You walk through those doors, and there will be a conference room on your left that will mark pretrial conference. I always advise people to go take a look at it before they leave the building. That way they know where it is. And a pretrial conference is a chance to resolve your case before a trial. So bring whatever witnesses or documents might help your case. I'm sure the city attorney will be interested in reviewing those documents as well.
Okay.
Okay, any questions for me?
No.
The bailiff will give you that notice, and once you receive that notice, that will take care of it for this evening then. Thank you. Crystal Moore? Just a minute, Ms. Moore, while I pull up your information. Ms. Moore, do I have your correct address on McKenna Boulevard?
No,
Okay. What is your address?
1114 Gammon Lane.
Is that in Madison?
Yes,
And the zip code?
it's 53719.
Okay, in case we need to send you any type of notices then, so.
Okay.
Okay. You have two citations. One is for operating a vehicle after the registration or suspension, operating after revocation or suspension of registration. That forfeiture carries a penalty of $98.80 and zero demerit points issued to your driver's license. Now, the forfeiture on this is as follows. And usually you receive this, if you don't pay a forfeiture, they'll suspend your license on the vehicle then. The forfeiture range on that is $0 to $200. So you're at $30 plus cost. You're not at the minimum, but you're fairly close with that. Okay. Now, the second citation that you received is operating a motor vehicle while suspended. Now, that citation carries a penalty of $124 and 3 demerit points issued to your driver's license. Forfeiture range on that citation is as follows. And I always like to make sure that people were aware of their forfeiture range, that the way they have an idea how much it is. Okay, operating after suspension is $50 to $200. You're at $50 plus cost. You're at the minimum for that. Okay, I've had a few questions for you. Do you understand what operating after suspension is?
Yes.
Okay, and do you understand what operating after registration suspended as well?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So I've explained the both citations to you. I've explained the forfeiture ranges. You're aware of the elements. Any questions for me?
No.
All right. Now is the time I take your plea. Your three plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
No contest.
Okay. You understand with no contest plea, if I review the police report and there's a factual basis, I'll find you guilty?
Yes.
Okay. You understand that I can't really bargain these down, so I can't get rid of the points. I can reduce the forfeitures if appropriate, but I can't. You understand that as well?
Yes.
All right. Let me review the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea.
Okay.
Okay, I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis, accept your no contest plea, and then find you guilty. Okay, a couple questions for me. Or I have a couple questions for you. Do you have a driver's license now?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and when did you obtain that license?
A couple weeks ago.
Okay, all right, so then how long were you suspended for?
Approximately 3 months.
Okay, I'm gonna do something kind of unusual because I can't bargain the points for, but I'm gonna enter a not guilty plea for you. I'm gonna schedule this matter for pretrial conference with you, with the city attorney on February 9th. I know it's another trip down, but the reason why I do that is that I can't do anything about the points and all that, but the prosecutor might take a look at this and look at it, because the prosecutor's always pleased when people update their driver's licenses.
Yes, I updated it.
I know, the problem is that I can't change the points, but the prosecutor might be able to.
Okay.
Is what I'm saying. So I'll change I will withdraw your plea, I'll enter a not guilty plea, I haven't found you guilty, and I'll vacate that. So I'll schedule this for a pretrial conference on February 9th, and I'll give you that notice in just a minute. And again, bring those documents to you in the pretrial conference. Pretrial conferences are held downstairs through the second set of doors, a conference room on your left. Make sure that you take a look at that. I always advise people to take a look at it before they leave the courtroom then, so.
Thank you.
All right, any questions for me?
No, thanks.
All right, when you get the notice from the bailiff, then that will take care of it for this evening. Then. All right,
Thank you.
thank you, Ms. Moore. Okay, Garth Ewing. Mr. Ewing, do I have your correct address in 745, excuse me, I don't want to read off the old, it's Van Buren Street in Stoughton?
Yes, it is.
Okay. You received a citation for non-registration auto. That citation carries a penalty of $98.80 and 0 demerit points issued your driver's license. Forfeiture, you're at $30 plus cost. The forfeiture range on this is as follows.
I don't understand I don't understand
What's that?
the forfeiture.
You can be fined, it's how much you can be fined on this. This is kind of the standard amount. What happens is that under municipal code provisions, I have to advise you of the forfeiture range on all these citations then. So, my practice is usually not to change the forfeitures. I can go down, I usually don't increase it, but I want people to be aware of what the forfeiture range is then.
Okay.
So, all right, so 34104. Forfeiture range on this is $0 to $200. You're at $30 plus cost is the forfeiture for you. Now, you understand what non-registration of auto is?
It's, if you haven't registered your sticker and,
And paid the fees and,
paid the,
yeah. Okay, and you received this citation on what date? If I'd appear today. Sunday, December 30th, is that correct? Does that sound about right? Okay. I noticed you got some papers in your hand.
yeah.
Or, what are the papers for?
Within 5 minutes, I went over to Walgreens in the kiosk and renewed it.
If you don't mind, may I take a look at that?
Yeah. I forgot to do it. I have, severe memory issues from my cancer treatment. I'm disabled and
Okay. My goal on these is to make sure people register their vehicles.
I know.
It was different from the previous case when registration was suspended. This one, it just expired. When people register, especially as you did, you say you did it 5 minutes later, and I verified that. Our goal is to have people register their vehicles, and you've done that. Based upon the what you show me, the court moves to dismiss the citation. So the citation's dismissed. You don't owe any money then. All right, any questions for me? All right, that'll take care of it this evening, and thank you. You can keep that, you just keep that for your records then, so. Ty Annan. Mr. Annan, do I have your correct address in Dentaria Drive in Cottage Grove?
No.
What is your current address?
211 East Main Street here in Stoughton.
Okay. All right, Mr. Annan, you have 3 citations. First one is for non-registration of auto. That citation carries a penalty of $98.80 and 0 demerit points issued your driver's license. Forfeiture range on this is $0 to $200. You're at $30 plus cost. Do you understand what non-registration of auto is?
Yes, sir.
All right. Second citation is operating while revoked as a forfeiture action. This citation carries a penalty of $124 and 3 demerit points issued your driver's license. Do you understand what operating after revoked is?
Yes.
All right. Forfeiture range on this is under 343.44. That means the total amount that you could have been fined. You're at $50 plus cost. The forfeiture on this is $0 to $2,500. So you're at not quite at the minimum, but you're on the low end of the scale.
Okay.
And then the third citation is operating motor vehicle without insurance. That citation carries a penalty of $124 and 0 demerit points issued your driver's license. You understand what operating motor vehicle without insurance is?
Yes.
All right. Now the forfeiture range on this is as follows. $0 to $500. You're at $50 plus cost. Again, not the minimum, but on the low end of the scale. Okay, any questions regarding these citations, what they are, points or forfeitures?
Nope.
All right. Now is the time I take your plea. Your 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty. And if you came here to talk about the points or the forfeitures, what I recommend that you do is the enter not guilty plea, because I can't bargain those down. But if you were able to update your registration, you saw that the last case, and if you're able to get a license, I can do with the registration only. I can't, that's expired. I can't do with the insurance or operating revoke. You understand that?
Yep.
Okay. What is your plea?
The not guilty.
Okay. Not guilty plea was scheduled this matter for, what is it, February 6th?
Right.
Okay. February 6th, and I'll give you the notice in just a minute.
Okay.
Now, at the pretrial conference, I'm ordering that you attend, but bring whatever documents might help your case. If you updated registration, I'm sure the prosecutor would see that. If you have insurance, I'm sure that they want to take a look at that as well.
Okay.
And again, bring whatever documents might help your case as well. I always advise people to go take a look at it, because if, at the room before you go, downstairs through the second set of doors on your left. And I also want to mention that if you fail to appear, city attorney will tell me that you didn't appear. I'll find you default and I'll find you guilty and I'll impose all those forfeitures then.
Okay.
Okay, any questions for me?
Nope.
All right, you'll get the notices in just a minute. Once you get those, that will take care of it for this evening then. Thank
Right.
you. Let me know when you're ready. Okay. Excuse me. Hayden Hammond. Mr. Hammond, do I have your correct address on Madison Street here in Stoughton?
Yes.
All right. You received 3 citations, it looked like. The first citation is for inattentive driving. That citation carries a penalty of $111.40 for demerit points issued to your driver's license. In addition, the forfeiture range on inattentive driving is as follows. 346.89. Forfeiture range on this is $20 to $400. You're at $40 plus cost. You're not at the minimum, but you're on the low end of the scale. Do you understand what inattentive driving is?
Yes.
All right. And then, do you have a probationary license?
Yes.
Okay, so the way a probationary license works is that your second or citation or thereafter, so second, third, fourth, etc., the point total is double of your moving violations. I just want to make sure that you're aware of that. Were you aware of that rule?
Yes.
Okay. All right, second citation is a failure of operator to notify police of an accident. That citation carries a penalty of $313 and 6 demerit points issued to your driver's license. Forfeiture on that is $200 to $500. So you actually, even though it's $313, you're at the minimum cost for that. You understand what what is operating, failure of operator to notify police of accident? You
Yes.
understand that? Okay. Third citation is hit and run unattended vehicle. That citation carries a penalty of $187 and 6 demerit points issued to your driver's license. And that is $0 to $200. You're at 100 plus cost is 187. So in other words, if I were to find you guilty tonight, the point totals would accumulate 16 points, and some of them would double. So the 2 of them would double. So you would be looking at probably about 30 points. So, now I could read the rest of this, but I understand the police. So if you enter a guilty or no contest plea tonight, your license will get suspended.
Okay.
Would you like to talk to the prosecutor to see if you can resolve some of these citations?
Sure.
All right. I'll go ahead and enter a not guilty plea for this, and I'll give you the notice in just a minute.
Okay.
Pretrial conference, I'm ordering that you attend. That way you and the prosecutor can discuss these 3 citations. If you don't appear, prosecutor will tell me that you didn't appear. I'll find you default and I'll find you guilty. Pose those penalties and your driver's license will ultimately get suspended.
Okay.
Bring whatever witnesses or documents might help your case, if there is any, but it's a chance for you to resolve it. Again, and I always advise people, go take a look at the room before you leave. It's on the first floor of this building. When you go through the second set of doors, be a conference room on your left marked pretrial conferences.
Okay.
So, and that will be on February 6th, and I'll give you that notice in just a minute.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions for me?
No, thank you.
All right. The bailiff, once the bailiff gives you the notice of these pretrial conference dates, they'll take care of it for this evening, and you'll be free to go.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Joseph Cook. Is it Cook or Coke?
Good.
Cook, okay. Do I have your correct address on Moline Street in Stoughton?
Yep.
All right. You also received 3 citations. The first one is failure of operator to notify police of an accident. That citation carries a penalty of $313 and 6 demerit points issued your driver's license. Forfeiture range on this is $200 to $500. You're at $200 plus cost. You understand what failure of operator to notify police of an accident is?
Yes.
Do you also have a probationary license?
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to make sure that you're aware that second and thereafter, moving violation point totals double.
Okay.
All right. Second citation is hit and run, property adjacent to highway. That citation carries a penalty of $187 and 0 points issued your driver's license. Forfeiture range on this is as follows. $0 to $200. You're at $100 plus cost. You're halfway up the scale then, basically. You're halfway point. Do you understand what hit and run property adjacent to highway is?
Yes.
All right. Third citation is that. Yeah. I think I skipped over the other citation. According to this, I don't have it listed here, but you were also received a citation for driving too fast for conditions. Were you aware of that citation as well?
Yes.
Okay. That citation carries a penalty, 4 demerit points. What's the face amount on that citation? I don't have it listed.
Which is the one? Which one?
Driving too fast for conditions. Usually the bond amount is $111.40 with 40. That's 40. That's all right.
136.
Oh, 136.60. So it's a little more than the normal posted amount. That is $60 plus cost. Driving too fast for conditions. That's right. I had a inattentive. That is different from inattentive driving. Too fast for conditions. Just a minute while I find the forfeiture range on that. $40 to $300. So you're at, not quite at the minimum, but close to that on the scale. Do you understand all these citations?
Yes.
And you understand that I can't really bargain with them? If you're under a guilty or no contest plea, I'll find you guilty of all, and then you'll lose your driver's license as well?
Yeah.
You understand that?
Yep.
Would you also like to enter a not guilty plea to talk to the
Yes.
prosecutor? Okay. Go ahead and enter a not guilty plea to the prosecutor. Schedule this matter for a pretrial conference on February 6th, and I'll give you that notice in just a minute.
All right.
I'm ordering that you attend, so if you don't appear, I'll find you default, and I'll find you guilty and impose all those forfeitures then.
Okay.
And then it's a chance to resolve your cases, so bring whatever witnesses or documents might help your case.
Okay.
And then I always advise people to go take a look at the room before they leave. It's downstairs through the second set of door, conference room on your left. It will be marked pretrial conference.
All right.
Any questions for me?
No, thank you.
Once you receive the notices, that will take care of it for this evening. then.
All right, thank you.
Hester Jackson? Ms. Jackson, do I have your correct address and Madison Street in Stoughton?
Yes.
All right. You received a citation for retail theft, intention taking less than $500, or less than $2,500. This citation carries a penalty of $187. Do you understand what retail theft is?
Yes.
All right. Forfeiture range on this is $50 to $1,000. You're actually at $100 plus cost. Understand that as well? Okay. In addition to the $187, I can also order that you pay restitution. Do you understand what restitution is?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me explain it. Restitution, say if I went to a store, gas station, I stole a candy bar, and then I walked out of the store. They can also, restitution means that I would have to pay back the value of the candy bar to the store. So if it's $1.25, that would be added to the forfeiture. You understand what restitution is as well? So it's $187 plus whatever the restitution amount is as well.
Okay.
Okay. Understand retail theft. I've given you the forfeiture range and the fine. Do you have any questions for me?
I do not.
Okay. Now's the time I take your plea. You're
Guilty.
guilty?
Yes.
Okay. You understand with a guilty plea, if there's a factual basis, I will find you guilty?
Yeah.
All right. Let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. Okay, I have read the police report, I do find a factual basis for your plea, I'll accept your guilty plea and find you guilty. Anything like to say before I decide on a sentence?
No.
Okay, you don't wish to make a statement or anything? All right, I received a restitution request for Quick Trip, it's $2.10, I find that to be reasonable. I think the $187 forfeiture is appropriate as well, so the total forfeiture will be $189.10. Now, can you pay for that this evening?
No, I cannot.
How much time do you need to pay?
Well, I'm on a fixed income, so what is the longest I can do? Like,
So you have limited funds and a
Yeah.
fixed income and all that, and then what I can do, why don't we start with 90 days?
Okay.
We'll see if we can pay within 90 days. If you haven't paid within 90 days, instead of, I can basically suspend your driver's license. After 90 days, if you're still unable to pay, I'm gonna give you a form with a number to call. If you
Okay.
can't pay within 90 days, call me and we can schedule a hearing when you can come in, tell me why you need more time to pay. The city prosecutor will be in and weigh in as well. But if you simply need additional time, I'd rather have you just stretch out the time as well. But we'll start at 90 days and see if that's appropriate then.
I'll try to get it in.
All right, I understand. All right, that will take care of it this evening. Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Lon Tremaine Woodcock. Just a minute, Mr. Woodcock. Oh, there it is. Do I have your correct address on Erickson Street in Stoughton?
Yep.
All right. You're cited for non-registration of auto. This citation carries a penalty of $98.80 or 0 demerit points issued your driver's license. Forfeiture range on this is, I looked at it earlier, now I've forgotten it. I want to make sure I inform you of it though as well. It is $0 to $200. You're at $30 plus cost. You're not at the minimum, but you're on the low end of the scale. You understand what non-registration of auto is?
Yes.
Have you registered your auto?
Yes, we actually we purchased a new car the day after the ticket was issued.
Okay.
So
Do you have the proof of that with you?
it's down in the car. Be about 5 minutes, but
How about this? Why don't we pass on your case, and then once you go down and get it, show it to me and bring it back,
Gotcha.
and then we can be able to probably dispose of the citation then. So I'll give you time to do that. So why don't you go down and get it and
Thank you.
come back? Thanks. Clanisha Washington. Good evening, Ms. Washington.
Good evening.
Do I have your correct address on Cameron Drive in Madison?
Yes,
All right. You were cited for speeding in a 55-mile-an-hour zone. Just a minute. Oh, here it is. Thank you. Speeding in a 55-mile-an-hour zone, 11 to 15 over the limit. This citation carries a penalty of $98.80 and 4 demerit points issued to your driver's license. The forfeiture range on this is $30 to $300. You're at $30 plus cost. You're actually at the minimum forfeiture for this. Now, speeding 11 to 15 over. Do you understand what? You understand speeding? What that is at 55?
Yes.
You understand that you're 11 to 15 over?
yes.
Okay. Now that's a 4-point citation. What I do for these is I give a 10 mile an hour leeway. So instead of saying 11 to 15 over, what I would do is that, and I've received permission from the prosecutor to do this, because if you were enter a not guilty plea, the prosecutor would also give a 10 mile hour leeway. So we're kind of making this easier then. So instead of 11 to 15 over, it'd be 1 to 9 over, which is the minimum speeding. It'd be 3 points and then same forfeiture of $98.80.
Okay.
So, you understand what the amended citation would be?
Yes.
Any questions for me?
No, sir.
Okay. To the amended citation of 1 to 9 over, 3 points, same forfeiture, what is your plea?
No contest.
You understand, with no contest plea, I'll review the police report, and if there's sufficient basis, I'll find you guilty.
Yes.
All right, let me read the police report. I'm going to make sure I have factual basis for your plea.
Okay.
I have reviewed the citation. I do find a factual basis for your plea. I'll accept your no contest plea and find you guilty of 1 to 9 miles an hour over the limit, which would be 3 points and forfeiture of $98.80.
Okay.
Anything else you'd like to tell the court?
No, there isn't.
Okay. How much time do you need to pay?
Can I please be allowed 60 days?
60 days. I will permit 60 days to pay. If you're unable to pay within 60 days, I'll give you a document with a phone number on it. Are we going to mail this to her? Okay, we'll mail this to you because it's a Dunkirk case
Okay.
instead of City Stoughton. We'll mail it to you with instructions on how you can pay within 60 days and a number to call if you can't pay within 60 days.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, that'll take care of it this evening. And thank you, Miss. I wrote it down the wrong one. Thank you, Miss Washington.
Okay, thank you.
I wrote it down for number 8 instead of number 9. Quinn Carter Arnott. Good evening, Mr. Olson. Good evening. Mr. Arnott, do I have your correct address on Creedeman and Stoughton?
Yep.
All right. You received a citation for driving too fast for conditions. This citation carries a penalty of $136.60 and 4 demerit points issued your driver's license. Forfeiture range on this, again, I looked it up once earlier tonight, but I want to make sure I get the right. It's $40 to $300. You're at $60 plus cost. You're not the minimum, but you're fairly close, fairly on the low end. Do you understand what driving too fast for conditions is?
Yes.
All right. And do you have a probationary license?
Yes.
All right. If this is your second or third, et cetera, citation, the point totals on this will double from 4 to 8 points. You understand that as well?
Yeah.
All right. Any questions for me?
No.
Now's the time I take your plea. Guilty, no contest, or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Okay. With a not guilty plea, we'll schedule this matter for pretrial conference on February 6th. I'll give you the notice in just a minute. Are you going to be the prosecutor on
Yes, I
February
will.
6th? Okay. You'll have a chance to meet with Mr. Olson then, and then see if you can resolve it. So I'm going to order that you attend it. So if you don't appear, I'll find you default, and I'll find you guilty, and I'll impose those forfeitures and points. In addition to that chance to meet with Mr. Olson and see if you can resolve any issues. So bring whatever documents or witnesses might help your case. And I always advise people to take a look at the room before you leave. First floor through the second set of doors, there'll be a conference room on your left. It'll be marked pretrial conferences.
All right.
Any questions for me?
No.
Once you receive the notice, I'll take care of it this evening then.
All right.
Thank you. Janice Gabo. Did I say your name correctly? How do you say it?
Jabbo.
Jabot, okay. Jabot. Well, at least I got the second part right, though. I got the French part, but not I didn't read carefully enough. Do I have your correct address, Ms. Jabot, on Hilldale Lane in Stoughton?
Yes.
All right. You received a citation for hit and run property adjacent to highway. That citation carries a penalty of $187 and 0 points. Do you understand what hit and run adjacent to property is?
I do now.
Okay. Do you want me to read the statute to you? I could.
Sure.
All right. It's ordinance that you violated is 70-1, and under Stoughton has adopted state statutes, and under this ordinance, it adopted state statute 34669, and I'll read that to you. (34669) says as follows: duty upon striking property on or adjacent to highway. The operator of any vehicle involved in an accident resulting only in damage to fixtures or other property legally upon or adjacent to a highway shall take reasonable steps to locate and notify the owner or person in charge of such property of such fact.
Sorry.
Is that you?
Yeah, I turned the volume down. I didn't know it would still ring.
Okay. Do you want to take a minute?
Yeah.
All right, let me start over then. Duty upon striking property on or adjacent to highway. The operator of any vehicle involved in an accident resulting only in damage to fixtures or other property legally upon or adjacent to a highway shall take reasonable steps to locate and notify the owner or person in charge of such property of such fact and of the operator's name and address and of the registration number of the vehicle the operator is driving, and shall, upon request and if available, exhibit his or her operator's license, and shall make a report of such accident when is required under the duty to report an accident. Do you understand that now?
Yes.
So, okay. Now, the forfeiture range on this, you're at $100 plus costs. $346.69 is the statute. Now, this is a bond book. This just kind of lists out all the traffic offenses and what the range of fines are and what the bond amount is. It's $0 to $200. It's your halfway point, basically, on the forfeiture range as well. Okay. So you understand hit and run a property? Have you read the statute? Do you? You understand that it's 0 points and $187. Any questions for me?
No.
Okay. Now's the time I take your plea. Your 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Not guilty.
Okay. With a not guilty plea, we'll schedule this matter for a pretrial conference with the city attorney, who's seated to your right. So, you'll meet with him on February 6th. I'm ordering that you attend a pretrial conference with him. If you don't appear, I'll find you default and I'll find you guilty. And I'll
What time is that?
4:30,
And what day is that?
February 6th. It's a
That's
Wednesday.
Wednesday. I'm sorry, 4:30 you said? I watch my grandchildren, so that's a little tight for me.
Okay. What is your range that day?
It's typically 4:30 to 6, so is a time later to 6 more amenable, closer to 6?
Right, that'd be better.
So maybe
Well, basically,
5:45.
people line up to see him, so we'll schedule it for 4:30, but as long as you get in.
First come, first serve again?
Yeah,
with you?
usually there's scheduled appointments then, so
Oh,
you lose
okay.
your place, but if you're a little late, that probably can work out then. You watch your grandkids until like 5.
Well, normally my son-in-law picks them up at 4:15, but with the weather and all that, that's
Sure.
not guaranteed.
Sure.
And then I have to get there.
If you're not right there at 4:30, as long as you get a chance to speak with the city attorney, I think that would work.
Okay,
So so bring whatever witnesses or documents might help your case, and the pretrial conference is on the first floor through the second set of doors on your left then.
okay, thank you.
All right, once you receive the notice, that will take care of it then. Thank you, Ms. Chabot. Let's go. Safin Uwamana. Safin Uwamana. Did I get that right? Okay. Say it again.
Uimana.
Uwimana. Thank you. Just a minute, Miss Uwimana. Do I have your correct address on Seagull Call Road in Madison?
Yes.
All right. You received a citation for speeding on a city highway 20 to 24 miles an hour over the limit. Now, this citation carries a penalty of 6 demerit points and $149.20. Now, the forfeiture range on this is $30 to $300.
3 to 30?
30 to 300 is the forfeiture range. But you are, $149.20 is $70 plus cost. So you're still at the low end. You can be facing up to $300 plus cost, or as little as $300 plus cost, is what the forfeiture range means. You look like you're confused.
Yeah.
Okay. Right now, the forfeiture is $149.20.
49, yeah.
Okay, that could be as little as $98.80, or it could be as high as, let's see, what's 300? $439. Now, normally my policy is not to increase the forfeiture amount, but I could lower it under the right circumstances.
Okay, so what it means like to go lower or higher?
Well, I tell you, normally with these, if you were to enter a not guilty plea, you go meet with the prosecutor, and he would give you a 10-mile-an-hour leeway. Now, his office and I have already gotten together and say, rather than do that, I can do the same.
Okay.
What I would do on this is that instead of 20 to 24 over, I would reduce that to 11 to 19 over, and that would be 4 points instead of 6. You're at 6. Normally what happens is you have your driver's license, you can't accumulate 12 or more points within a year.
Yeah, I wonder that like 6 points.
Right, I would reduce that to 4. I would reduce it to 4 and 11 to 19 over.
What about if I can go like a little bit lower?
Well,
Or-
here's what I'll do. It sounds like you want to kind of contest this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter a not guilty plea. That way you can meet with the prosecutor and you can discuss the speeding citation further.
No, that's fine, I can pay that for, but,
Well, because you're kind of holding a conversation. Normally, I just either you don't agree with it and you want a pretrial conference or a trial, or you want to kind of get it over with. And I'm kind of getting mixed messages from you.
it's okay, I can come to meet with the prosecutor.
Okay, I'll enter a not guilty plea.
So if I meet with them, they're gonna help me, what?
What will happen is you won't have to pay any forfeiture. We won't be convicted of that, and you get a chance to discuss this with the prosecutor then to see if what the circumstances were, the speeding citation, why it was 20 to 24. I know the offer usually is 11 to 19 over, which should be 4 points. I don't know if the prosecutor would offer. I would accept that offer because I made it. But if you want to further discuss it, that's what I would recommend then. So, and I think that's what I'll do. I'll enter a not guilty plea. That gives you a longer chance to meet with the prosecutor.
So for now, I can just like pay like, you can take like 4 points off
Mm-hmm.
and pay,
The $149.20, I usually give somebody 60 days to pay.
no, I will make the prosecutor.
I'm sorry?
I will meet the prosecutor.
You want to meet with the prosecutor then? Okay,
Yes.
we'll enter the not guilty plea. Meet with the prosecutor on February 6th. The bailiff will give you that notice. If you don't appear, I'll find you default and I'll find you guilty, and the room is downstairs on the first floor.
Okay,
All right, thank you. Dwight Walker? Do I have your correct address on Vera Court in Madison?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You were cited for possession of THC. This citation carries a penalty of $439. Essentially what that is $300 plus cost. Now, and you don't understand what possession of THC is. It's the active ingredient in marijuana then. Now, for these citations, what I do is if you complete an assessment, I usually give you 90 days to complete an assessment. You can complete either an assessment or other drug and alcohol counseling. I would reduce the forfeiture from $439 down to $124. That's the minimum $50 plus cost. The idea is I want to make sure that people attend that. So that would be what I do for these. But if you want, you can always, if you don't agree with the citation or don't believe the city would be able to prove your case, you can always enter a not guilty plea as well.
All right.
All right. Any questions regarding the citation?
You said you're gonna to reduce it down to the 100. What would I have to do?
I have a list of, if you want, I have a list of counseling or classrooms you could do. One is online if you want to take a look at that.
Put a date on there.
Sure.
If he's gonna do it.
Thank you.
Does that make sense then? Okay. Those are just one of the options then, so. Okay, I haven't gotten a plea, actually, I want to make sure that you understand that $439, but then I reduce it to $124 if you complete the counseling or assessment. You understand that? You understand the possession of THC, and I would give you 90 days to complete that.
Yes.
All right, and then 90 days to pay also the $124 as well. If you don't complete that, then the forfeiture will be $439. So if you complete one of these forms, when you complete it, you'll get a certificate of completion. Make sure that you send it in to us, because otherwise we don't know if you completed the class or not.
To this postal code at the courtroom?
The address, do we have the address on that form?
It's on.
All right, thank you. Sorry.
Okay, all right, now, are we all clear?
Yeah.
Okay, now's the time I take your plea. There are 3 plea options: are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Guilty.
Okay. You understand with a guilty plea, I must find you guilty?
And then I can get it reduced?
Yep, exactly. So let me review the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea. Accept your guilty plea and find you guilty. Now, I will stay the fine. That means I will call a timeout. I'll allow you 90 days to complete in assessment or counseling as indicated in the list I gave you. If you complete the counseling, send it to us as proof, and your forfeiture will be $124, which will be due on April 13th as well. And that's also the date that you have to complete the, the information as well. April 23rd, thank you. So, but if we don't get proof of that or you don't complete it, the forfeiture will be $439.
All right.
Okay, you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, my policy is I just want to make sure that people are aware of just, some of the risks associated with marijuana as well. I think that as people have a broad understanding of it, then if they know a little bit more, then they'll have a better idea what what marijuana is all about then.
Yes, sir.
Okay. With that, once you get the form, that will take care of it for this evening then.
Came in late.
Okay. Okay. All right. Now, who was the guy that came in? Mr. Tremaine Woodcock? Evening, Mr. Verhoff.
Judge, how are you?
Good. Do you want to show proof to the prosecutor to your right? This was a non-registration of auto. It was my understanding that you sold the car the next day?
Yes.
Okay. Let me look. All right, the citation was issued on December 11th.
Title application is December 12th.
Okay. As for I don't have a VIN number. I can't find it right away.
I approach.
Sure. The description of it. Yeah, there it is, 2003 Honda. Okay, but still, it's the make and model and the year number match. Okay. Does the city have a recommendation?
Motion to dismiss, Your
Okay.
Honor.
Because you provided proof on a non-registration auto, and basically you sold the vehicle, which is the same thing as registering it. Based upon the motion of the city, I will dismiss this citation then.
All right.
You won't owe anything, and that will take care of it this evening.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yep.
And the last one is? Damon Hoffman? Mr. Hoffman, do I have your correct address in Summit Avenue here in Stoughton?
Yes.
Okay. You received 2 citations. First is speeding on a city highway, 16 to 19 miles an hour over the limit. That citation carries a penalty, $124, and 4 demerit points issued your driver's license. Do you understand what speeding on a city highway is?
Yes.
You understand the 16 to 19 over?
Yes.
Okay. Now that's 4 points. Forfeiture range on this is $30 to $300. You're at $50 plus cost. It's 4 points. Do you have a probationary license?
Yes.
Okay. If this is your second or thereafter citation, third, fourth, the point total is doubled. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. So now normally, especially with Mr. Olson here, I usually give a 10-mile-an-hour leeway for speeding citations. So I would reduce this to 1 to 9 over, which would be 3 points instead of 4. Same forfeiture of $124. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Second citation is for possession of THC. Now this citation carries a penalty of $439. However, I give defendants 90 days to complete either an alcohol and drug assessment or drug and alcohol counseling, and I've got a list for that. And if you complete it within the 90 days, I reduce the forfeiture from $439 to $124. Reason why, I just want to make sure that people are more aware of marijuana and the pros and cons of it as well. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Do you understand what possession of THC is?
Yep.
Yeah, you understand THC is the active ingredient in marijuana?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions for me?
No.
All right, now's the time I take your plea. Your 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
No contest.
Okay. You understand that with no contest plea, I must find you guilty?
Yes.
All right. Let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. All right, I have read the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea, accept your no contest plea, and find you guilty. Except you've entered a guilty plea or no contest plea?
No contest.
Yeah, no contest plea, and I'll find you guilty. Now, for the speeding on a city highway, I'll give you a 10-mile-an-hour leeway. So instead of 16 to 19 over, I'll find that you were driving 1 to 9 over, which would be 3 points instead of 4. Same forfeiture of $124. Now, I've also found you guilty of the possession of THC, and I'll give you a list of forms, or counseling available. Now, this is not inclusive. If you find one that you like or have your own counselor, as long as we receive proof within the 90 days that you completed the requirements, what we do then is that I won't fine you now, but I will hold open your fine amount. If you complete the alcohol and drug assessment or counseling, I'll reduce it from $439 to $124.
Okay.
So make sure that you complete that and send us proof that you completed it then. Okay. Any questions for me?
Nope.
All right. I'll give you the counseling forms and a couple of the dispositions. Yes.
I have a question. Was the speeding due today?
No. How much time do you need to pay the? You know what? I'll give you 90 days to pay this. Yeah, 90 days to pay for the speeding citation. Then. So, thank you. So. Yes.
Your Honor, once, say he does that counseling, how long does he have to pay what's left of the fine?
Usually, I give him until April 23rd to pay.
So that's 90 days.
90 days to do it all.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
That's the trial.
Okay, let me take care of the trial first.
Oh, okay. Is that Michelle? That's just a request to reopen if you want to take that.
No, not yet.
Because he was scheduled at 6 before the trial.
Let me do the trial first. City of Stoughton versus John Landers. Okay, please state your appearances.
Kyle Olson for the City of Stoughton.
Good evening, Judge. Attorney Timothy Vierhoff appears on behalf of Mr. Landers.
The reason why I called this case first, it's my understanding that this is a stipulated trial, is that correct?
That's correct, Judge.
Okay, I didn't receive any notice, and I wanted to make sure I had the ground rules first. So.
Yeah, I talked to Susan Allen yesterday, I guess.
Okay.
And I think she sent a message to the court, at least. I
I
got a
wanted
copy
to-
of an email saying that, giving the court heads up that we wouldn't need as much time as normal.
Okay, what I want to do is that I want to make sure I didn't review the police reports in advance. So what I'll do is that I wanted to call the case, and then it's my understanding that this is a stipulated trial, both sides agree to that, and I can go ahead and review the police reports then.
You can.
Okay, all right. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna adjourn this to trial. I'll take care of one more motion to reopen. I'll go back into my chambers and review the police reports, and I'll render a decision. Now, is there gonna be argument, or just?
No, the only thing I'm gonna ask for is that, we're doing an appeal on this, so rather than
I figured.
spend your time, is, I would only ask that whatever penalty you impose, that you stay execution for 20 days so that we can get the appeal filed.
Right. So, okay. All right. What I'll do, I'll review the police reports, and then I'll let you know if I state the penalties or not. So,
Thank you.
okay. The case is adjourned for now. The court was going to call City of Stoughton versus David Marshall. What's FSA? Okay. And you're David Marshall?
Sir,
This is your motion reopened for vehicle owner's liability for fleeing a scene of an accident, is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
You don't recall receiving the citation?
I do not.
Okay, so you don't know anything about this then?
I do. I
Okay.
don't recall getting anything in the mail or any notifications or anything that I needed to come.
You did not get a citation at the scene?
No, I did not. There was no interaction.
And if it was mailed, and you're not sure if you ever got the mail?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have 4 kids who took the mail, so, yeah.
Okay. City's position?
No objection, Your Honor.
I'll go ahead and grant your motion to reopen. I'll enter a not guilty plea. We'll schedule this matter for pretrial conference on February 6th then.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right, now the court is adjourned. I'm going to go review the police reports on this. I just wanted to make sure that I had everybody's agreement before I did that. All right, the court's in recess for me to review the police reports then.
Nice to meet you. I must be new to Stafford? Okay.
That's right, there is one.
Yeah.
Shared.
All right, the court will return to session. The court will recall City of Stoughton versus John Monroe Landers Jr. Again, why don't you state your appearances for the record?
Kyle Olson for the City of Stoughton.
Attorney Tim Veerhoff for Mr. Landers.
All right. Now, it's my understanding that this was a trial by stipulation. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Correct.
Okay. So, and that means that I was instructed to, we submitted the police reports as an exhibit. Those are to be entered into the record. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I've had the opportunity to review the, does any party wish to make any arguments?
No, Your Honor.
No, waive argument.
And I noticed that previously, in our previous session, Attorney Veerhoff just wanted me to stay the penalties if this case were appealed. Is that correct?
That is my request.
Okay. All right. Now, I've had the opportunity to review the police reports. I'll make the following findings. Within the City of Stoughton, Officer Sean Poole of the Stoughton Police Department saw a vehicle. He activated his radar and received a 34-mile-an-hour reading. Speed limit through this stretch is 25 miles an hour over the limit. The Officer Poole also observed that the defendant, who was later identified as John Monroe Landers Jr., hit an island on Page Street within the City of Stoughton. Both the speeding and hitting an island provides Officer Poole with reasonable suspicion to stop the vehicle. The vehicle was stopped. And then it was detected the odor of intoxicants. The vehicle rolled backwards as Officer Poole approached. He could smell the odor of intoxicants. The driver admitted that he had too much to drink. The defendant stepped out of the vehicle where Officer Poole noted strong odor of intoxicants, eyes were bloodshot and glassy, and had a slurred speech. And then the defendant, Mr. Landers, or subject at that point, declined to do field sobriety tests. Based upon all those reasoning, I find that there's probable cause to ask for a PBT. PBT was denied, so I find that there's probable cause for the arrest. At the Stoughton Police Department, or Mr. Landers was transferred to the Stoughton Police Department. Forming the accused form was read to him. 20-minute observation was observed, and then after several attempts, blood alcohol, Mr. Landers consented to the blood alcohol reading, and it was 0.24 was the final reading. I'll find that 2.4 was above the legal limit of Wisconsin at 0.08. I will find that upon my reading of the police reports that all elements have been met for operating while intoxicated, and all the elements have been met for the operating motor vehicle with a prohibited alcohol concentration, as indicated in the police reports. As far as penalties go, no, again, no recommendation. You want me to just go ahead and make the ruling on the penalties?
I could tell the court that there had been an offer of a $730 fine, inclusive of cost, a 6-month revocation, ignition interlock device order, and the AODA.
Okay.
Yeah, that's consistent with the city's offer. City has no objection to that offer.
Okay,
Or
so
the imposition of minimums.
I'll find that is a penalty. What was it, $761?
Oh, hang on.
6 months.
Bear with me.
Sure, certainly.
$735?
$735.
That sounds accurate to the court.
It does.
$735, 6-month, 1-year IID, AODA,
And 6 points.
and 6 points.
Okay. And it will be all IID for a period of 12 months, a surcharge of $50 for all vehicles registered in Mr. Landers Jr.'s name. Okay. The court will adopt the joint recommendation of the parties. Mr. Veerhoff requested that these penalties be stayed while the case is pending for appeal. This court, that's not my policy to do that. I'll deny your request to stay the penalties then.
Can I be heard on it?
Yes,
Try
absolutely.
to change your mind?
Yeah, sure.
So he's suspended right now, and the only reason I request that the penalties be stayed is that if the court denies it, then we start going down the road and it becomes a little complicated once it goes up to circuit court. What happens with circuit court, once appealed, then we can stay penalties and things of that nature. So the issue becomes what he's subject to, depending on the outcome of court, the circuit court, and then how DMV will apply those retroactively and not. So it's a little more seamless, and I guess it's more seamless for my client. He is on an occupational permit and will continue to be on one.
And let me interrupt you for a minute. I apologize for doing that. But you said that he was suspended, the administrative suspension. Is that what? Okay.
Right.
Okay. I interrupted him. Sorry.
So he's suspended, but with other penalties, obviously, depending on the outcome of circuit court, then he could be subject to some penalties that ultimately he may or may not be, because that could create a hardship on the client. I'd ask the court, although it's not his policy, it becomes a lot easier in interacting with the DMV if we're doing a single order out of circuit court than the order out of municipal court and then dealing with circuit court later.
City's position?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll grant that then. I'll say the penalties while it's based upon the fact that he's administratively suspended, because my fear on that is that if it's something else, if he picks up another OWI while it's pending.
The administrative is 6 months from a month from the date of violation. This is an older case from July of last year, so August would have won, so it will be out for February.
But if he's appealed, then it becomes, the appeal rate will be within 20 days then, so that should be okay.
But then, okay.
Yeah, right. Okay, I'll go ahead and grant the staying of the penalties then.
Thank you.
Anything else to take up?
No, I just need
Your
an
Honor.
appellate form.
Okay. While you're here, this is my first stipulated trial. If I think procedurally it'd be easier if I can get just maybe some kind of confirmation for both parties, just emails. That way I can review the police reports in advance. And if I got emails, then I would know that you could appear by phone. You know, I think that would save you the trouble of having to come down to Stoughton, especially if it's snowy like this.
Sure.
So, because I'll know for the record, Stoughton received about 6 inches of snow today. So I just think that would make it probably easier for all parties. If you're gonna go through the effort or the stipulation for trial by a police report, then I think that it makes sense then for you just to appear by phone as well. So.
Fine with me. I will do that in the future.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Veerhoff.
Yeah, so I've had the judges do it.
I'm sorry?
Part of that was, I've had municipal judges who, even on a stipulated trial, want testimony.
No, so.
And I told Susan, I've never been in front of Matt before, so I don't know what he's gonna wanna do, but.
All right, sounds good. Good seeing you again, Mr. Veerhoff. Mr. Olson, you have some pretrial conferences for me?
Yes, I believe right there.
Thank you. Okay. Unusual. Wants to talk to city council on the parking situation.
Yes, he has
Well,
several
at least that's the right
arguments, right.
Yeah, that's might be the proper venue for it. We'll see.
Oh, yeah. I've got a stack of at least 10 already. You can test it.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
7 tickets the second Sunday night.
No matter how much we advertise, people are either gonna say they don't know about it. Okay, great. Okay, all the pre-trials were approved. It looks like most of them were either continuances or
Yes,
meetings,
there were
or
a few
no
strange
shows.
ones, but, yeah.
This one, you approved the settlement, but I needed to add the blood test.
Oh,
to be on
sure.
there, and I explained to him. So it's-
Yeah, we'll reach out to opposing counsel and.
And
make
if they
sure
have any
no
objections to it,
yeah.
I won't have any problem reopening it if they want,
Okay.
if they have an
Okay.
issue with it.
Great, thank you.
And this was, no further.
Oh, good. Good, okay, good. Okay, approved. Anything else from the city?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thanks. And for the stipulated trials, just give me some type of notice, because I want to make sure that both parties agree. And it was an odd week because of Martin Luther King Day, so
Right.
it's just like.
Yeah,
so-
this was my first as well, so
Yep,
good to
I
know the
think-
procedures moving forward.
That makes sense.
That's Dunkirk that defaulted on pretrial.
Okay. Oh, yeah. And it was interesting, it came up in listserv, just, nobody had ever heard of stipulated trials by police reports, but it's becoming a common practice apparently in Dane County, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 judges commented all in the last couple of weeks, so, I think, okay, we'll probably see more of them.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good.
Defaults.
Sure. Oh, yeah, we gotta do that, thank you. Good thing that Detective Hill didn't have to remind me this time. Leslie Alcantara is the default judgment. Gilbert Anderson is a bond forfeiture. Timothy Anderson is a default judgment. Adam Arndt is a default judgment. Geoffrey Baker McAllister is a default judgment. Lucas Bennett is a default judgment. Attorney Olson, you don't have to stay
Okay,
for this.
thank you.
Yeah, no. This is just make sure that if somebody appears, I would probably default them anywhere and are not guilty
Right.
plea, so, all right.
Thank
I understand that they have other obligations as well, so,
Have a good
all right,
evening.
thank you. Ether Blackshire, you could always stay if you want, but I just assume most people don't, so, all right, thanks. Ether Blackshire is a default judgment. Laurentino Bravo is a default judgment on both. Rebecca Braun is a default judgment. All right, Patricia Marion, how do you say, Byrne? Byrne passed away after the citations were issued, but before they came to trial. The longstanding precedence on this is that if they can't get their day in court, the case is dismissed, and I'll dismiss all 3 citations. Thank you. Haley Chicker is a default judgment. Jerry Coleman is a bond forfeiture. Alex Erdman is a default judgment. Janet Finney is a bond forfeiture. Lucas Forstall is a bond forfeiture. Devin Foster is a bond forfeiture. Milza Uliver Fuentes Lava is a bond forfeiture. Andrew Gibbs is a default judgment on all 3 citations. Misha Goodman is a default judgment. Freddie Harris is a default judgment on all 3 citations. Christian Herrera is a default judgment on both citations. Henry Hightower is a default judgment. Sarah Husted is a default judgment. Corinne Johnson is that is going to be dismissed upon this motion of the city. I'll note it is dismissed without prejudice because it appears as if there was a error on the citation. So dismissed without prejudice.
DOT made the error.
No, okay. Okay, we'll still dismiss without prejudice then. Reissue if they want. Rodney Jordan is a default judgment. Bradley Juve is a default judgment on all 3 citations. Shelby Keller is a default judgment. Brittany Kenyon is a default judgment. Brittany Klimek is a bond forfeiture. Kelly Kirkma is a bond forfeiture. Murad Salah Lati is a default judgment. Brele Lexinger is a default judgment on both citations. Jacob Lund is a default judgment. Daniel Lyons is a bond forfeiture. Megan Martin is a default judgment. Joan McCormick is a default judgment. Luis Angel Morales Toledo is a default judgment. Felicia Mucora is a default judgment, all 3 citations. Mitchell Murray is a default judgment on both citations. Michelle Murray, not Mitchell, Michelle Murray, excuse me. Eric Nelson is a default judgment on both citations. Mitchell Okray is a bond forfeiture. Abby Otteson is a default judgment, all 3 citations. Mariana Patrinos is a default judgment. Shad Peterson is a default judgment. April Pedersen, is a default judgment. Theron Porter is a default judgment. Lincoln Post is a bond forfeiture. Milana Price is a default judgment. Jason Roush is a default judgment. Quintez Rollins is a default judgment. Mark Ruffin is a bond forfeiture. Kyle Rudolph is a default judgment. Mason Shuck is a default judgment. Susan Schuster, based upon the motion of the city, the citation is dismissed. Austin Sherwood is a bond forfeiture. Rowan Shore is a default judgment. Rebecca Symes is a default judgment. All 4 citations. Sheila Trentini is a default judgment. All 3 citations. Robert.
Toshi, you skipped Toshi.
Oh, you're right, I did. I had too many other cases. Kifahete Toshi is a default judgment. Thank you. Robert Way is a bond forfeiture. William Weber is a bond forfeiture. Austin Zasada is a default judgment. That concludes court. Anything else? All right, court is adjourned. Thank you.